Well, now that I've got my sketch, my roadmap for success, and I know the tables and relationships I'm going to create, I'm ready to sit down at the computer and I'm going to start my database. This is the Office Supplies of America database. I'm going to save it deliberately. I'll just put it on my desktop for today, but I would be saving it somewhere very deliberately and then clicking Create. Now I'm going to close this table. And you already know that it doesn't really matter what order you create the tables in. I'm going to go to the Create tab and go to Table Design. I think I'll start with my orders. No, I'll start with my customers table. And I'm going to, well, let me think about this for a minute. I think I'm going to pause my recording and get this table fleshed out. You don't really need to watch me type in field names and data types because I know you know how to do that. So I'm just going to pause and I'll be back in a second. Okay, here we go. I made some decisions while I was creating these fields. I decided that for the sake of this particular database, I would make all my primary keys number data type and I would make all my foreign keys number data type. Now I don't have to worry about them being able to match up in a relationship. I've added the last name and first name and address, city, state, and postcode. You could call it zip code or postcode, telephone number, and I had to put in my sales rep ID. I know that because that's what my roadmap tells me is that I need a foreign key here. Here is the orders table in design view. I've done order ID, the order date, the amount, and which customer was making the order. That's a foreign key as well. And again, it's a number data type because all my primary keys and foreign keys will be number data type in this particular database. And here's my sales rep table in design view. I don't have much data on them, just their ID, last name, first name, and the date they were hired. Now, it's always tricky to figure out if you've got enough fields to be realistic. And without putting in so many that it makes a nightmare for you to type in data. So it would be strange not to have a little bit more than this, but I think we're going to leave it here for the demonstration purposes. I'm also going to pause my recording and actually, no, I'll set the relationships now. The next step is I'm going to go to my database tools and establish relationships between these tables. Okay, I realized that I had set up relationships before this because I'm just trying to set things up for the video. But here is the database design with the tables added to this relationships view with no relationships established. And you can see this looks just like my roadmap except that I have these extra fields filled in now. So let's create the relationships. There's one between customer ID here and customer ID here. I'm going to drag from one to the other and enforce referential integrity and create. And perfect. Now there's also one from sales rep ID here to sales rep ID here. I'm going to drag from one to the other, enforce referential integrity, and create. Perfect. Now, it doesn't really matter where you position these tables. They could look like this. They could look like they were before. If it looks like my roadmap, great. If it doesn't matter. It's just really important to be able to see your relationships. One sales rep to many customers, one customer to many orders, and it really looks great. So I'm going to close that. I am going to save it. And now that there's a referential integrity, it's time to create forms so I can do some data entry. Okay, I've got my tables, I've got my relationships, I'm going to create forms. I'm going to click on create, and this time again, it doesn't matter which order I create the forms for these tables for, but I'm going to use the wizard. It gives me a little bit more control about what will happen. So I'm going to do the customers one first, and I'm going to choose all the fields. Whenever you're creating an input form for data, you want to choose all the fields and choose next. I'm going to stick with columnar and choose next. I'm going to call it customers entry form. I could just say customers form, that would be fine, but this is good. And I'm going to choose finish. Now this isn't particularly beautiful, but it's not bad. I think what I'm going to do is go to layout view. This is a good view to work in. I'll close that field list. I don't need that right now. But this gives me the ability to go to the format tab and add some formatting. You know, one of the things that's most important about this form is that the last name and first name of the customer. So I'm going to hold down the shift key and select both of those fields, and I'm going to make them bold and increase the font size. Yeah, that looks a lot better. Let's see. I also could put in a different design. I might choose a whole different theme for the whole database. Let's see. Let me just go over a few of these and choose one that looks nice. I kind of like this one, but don't like the colors. This one has some neat font, but don't like the colors either. So I'm going to choose this one right here. It's called Median. And then I'm going to pick colors that look a little bit better. Let's see. That won't do it. I'm not getting a preview very nicely. That's too pink. Bit neon. Nope. Well, I'm taking too much time on this. Let me try one more. Nope. Huh. Okay. I'm going to live with the pink for a minute, I think. I just want it to look different, look like an actual design has been applied to the database. I do like this font. It's a little bit small, but I think it's nice looking. Okay, so I'm going to save my form and close it. And now I'll do one for orders, and I'll do the exact same thing. Okay, and now I'm going to go to layout view. I've already got the theme on, but I'm going to think, what's the most important thing about this order? Well, I'll say the order date is one of the most important things, so I'll do a little increase of that. And I think I'll leave it at that. I'm going to save this and close it. And I'm going to do my last one, my reps. All the fields. Next. And let's see. And I think the reps' first name should go above their last name probably. Let's just go to design view and do that. In design view, I'll move one out of the way, move this one down, and I'll put this one back. That's looking better. And now I also could select these two, format bold and a little bit larger. I do like to make your eyeball see the most important thing on the form right away. Okay, so I think I've made some good changes in making these forms, and I'm going to click to save this and close the form. And now I have to ask myself, what comes first with data entry? So I'm back here on the relationships, and when it comes to entering records, you have to enter the data on the one-side tables. These are one-side tables. There's a 1 here and a 1 here. Before you enter records on a many-side table. Now this one is a many-side plus a one-side. So I'm going to do sales rep first, then customers, then orders. That's the correct order of things. If I tried to fill in some orders right now and I didn't have any customers in and I didn't have any sales reps in, then when I got down to a field like this, what would I say was the customer making the order? You want to try to recreate your data as if it's real, and in real life you would hire some sales reps, they would get some customers, and then those customers would place orders. And even though we're doing sort of an artificial job by creating all the data input right away, you need to go in the right order. Okay, I have created my forms and I've also got my data typed in. Now, what you'll see is that I've actually typed in 34 customers. 34 is realistic. You always are gonna have more customers than sales reps. Here are my sales rep. Whoops, I'll use the form for sales reps. Here's my sales rep form. I have only 7 sales reps. That's fine. 7 sales reps to work with 30 something customers sounds about right. Um, it's sort of a sensible proportion. And here's my orders. Now my order form needs a little tweaking because when I got the data in there, this wasn't wide enough to display my big date. So I'm going to go to Layout View, and I'm going to make this field much bigger, much better. But I've got my data in here, and I've got 20 orders. 34 people making 24 orders, well, that's not a very viable business, so it'd be nice to have many, many more orders in. But now let's just say this is a brand new company and this is just we've only had 20 orders so far. So that's pretty realistic. You never want fewer than 7 in any record that you or database table that you create for this class, and the more the merrier, except for say sales reps. You want probably to stick with just 7 if you have a table that's like that, because you want to think about what's realistic. You're going to have many more orders and customers than you are sales reps. Okay, so that's beautiful. I've got some forms. I use them for data entry. One of the things that is much nicer when you're creating a form and you want to see the customer that's ordered this particular order is, wouldn't it be nicer to see the customer's name rather than the number 2? Because that way, if somebody told you to look up order number 5 and tell me what customer was it that ordered that, well, now I'd have to say, well, that was customer 26, and I'd have to go and look up the customer 26 to see who it was. So now I'm going to break, and in the next video I'm going to show you how to replace your foreign keys on forms. This is for forms only, and it's for foreign keys only, but I'm going to show you how to replace those with a combo box so that you can actually see the customer